evening, I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently just about 7 o'clock on Sunday evening, April 26th. And I'm here today to do today's daily recap of events that affect the way you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. And today's question is going to be $731 billion. Who's watching the money? We're going to get to that later on, but right now, we always start every day right now, is with the COVID situation. And right now, the total cases in the U.S. are over 961,000, almost 962,000 cases right now, confirmed cases of COVID. The deaths right now are up to 54.5 thousand deaths in just 9 weeks. That's about a 5.5% death rate, which is a little bit higher than we were talking about originally. When we got started with this, it was supposed to be around 2% at that point in time. It's still hanging around 5.5% right now. Now, a little bit of good news, if you could say such a thing, is that 106,000 people have actually recovered. So you've got a 9% of the total cases that have actually recovered from COVID. Now, New York cases in New York State are right now over 288,000 cases. Over 22.2 thousand deaths so far. 17.2 thousand of those deaths are in New York City by itself. Now, New Jersey has got the number 2 spot here, and right now they have 109,000 cases and 5.9 thousand deaths. Okay, so right now the death rates in New Jersey and New York have slowed a lot. They really have slowed down a lot. Okay. When this got started, they were posting double-digit gains every day. Right now, they're at under 1,000 deaths a day right now. So they've made some real serious strides, which is nice. But there's still a lot of people that are dying. It really is. And the numbers keep growing every day, not only in those states, but in other states also. Now, each case, in each death, it's a serious personal tragedy. And it's taking a toll on the individuals, their families, as well as the communities that they live in. And just a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned yesterday about Josephine Tapereau. She's a 56-year-old LPN who works in a senior care facility. And her 20-year-old son, Louis Jr., died while her husband, Louis Sr., was recovering after a week on a ventilator. And they both died, and they didn't even tell him until after he got off the ventilator. But here you got 2 generations in one family. Someone died in basically 3 weeks period of time, 4 weeks period of time. Now, that leaves an impact on people. It really does. Janet Awasti, had surgery last month to remove a cancer in his lung, a tumor he had. He was home for less than a week before he was rehospitalized again for labor, breathing, and a fever. Now, as John lay unconscious in a hospital bed, breathing with the help of a ventilator, his 2 oldest children caught one last glimpse of their father on FaceTime on a call because the compassionate nurse was using her cell phone and let them see their dad for the last time. Their father was running out of time. Just another casualty of the COVID pandemic that would rob a 62-year-old man of his chance to walk his daughter down the aisle. Just a chance to spoil his future grandkids. And a chance to retire with his wife, who was giggling that, just the thought of him dancing a hokey pokey at the wedding reception. That's all gone. Because of COVID. His daughter, Casey, 27-year-old special education teacher, pleaded on her phone, "I know you're tired. I know you want to give up. Keep pushing. So many people are praying for you." But days later, on April 1, her dad died. But he was not alone in his family. 4 days later, after John passed, his 88-year-old mother, Lillian, Casey's grandmother, also succumbed to the virus in the same hospital. John's wife, their 3 children, Kyle, age 30, Casey, 27, and 21-year-old Corey, are all left trying to make sense of, 2 lost generations and the family in just weeks. In a situation where nothing makes sense at all. How do you deal with that? 2 generations in just a matter of weeks, gone. And the survivors are trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Okay. Now, the disease got a devastating toll on families, obviously. And while it's heartbreaking, it is not unique in any way, shape, or form. Okay. This swift-spreading virus is collected groups of victims in nursing homes, churches, multiple members of families across the country in every walk of life, from infants to the elderly. Okay. It doesn't discriminate against anybody. It really doesn't. Nobody's particularly safe. Right now, there's over 10,000 COVID deaths just in nursing homes and long-term care facilities by themselves. Somewhere between 10 and 20% of all healthcare workers are represented in the total cases of COVID. Store clerks, transit workers, bus drivers, police and fire department, specifically in states with high COVID cases, are sick and dying. Nearly 500 postal workers have already tested positive for COVID, and another 462 are presumed positives. 19 of those folks have died already. More than 6,000 are in self-quarantine because of exposure. Over 3,500 U.S. service members have already tested positive for a virus, including 2 deaths. Nearly 800 of those cases came from a single breakout on board the USS Theodore Roosevelt, the aircraft carrier where one sailor also happened to have died. For about 2 weeks now, there have been COVID outbreaks at dozens of meatpacking plants across the nation, and it's far more extensive than people ever really thought. Right now, there's more than 5,000 reported cases and 13 deaths of workers in at least 48 different food processing plants. This is just starting to affect the food supply, as the USDA reports that pork and beef production are already down across the industry 20 to 30%. This is real. This spreads fast. It doesn't always show signs, and it kills quickly. It even kills people that are really familiar with how to deal with it. A number of doctors and nurses have already died. These people know what's going on. They knew how to protect themselves. But the virus didn't care. Now, if people want to get this under control, they have to quit playing politics with the testing and just get it done. More and more people are dying every day. And I've mentioned this every time I come on board here. Okay, the Defense Production Act needs to be put in place. The only one person can do that. Only one. The President of the United States. He bears 100% responsibility in this matter. You can't shift this over to anybody else. This is not the deep state. This is not Congress. Okay, this is not the governors. This is his responsibility. He is the only one who can implement the Defense Production Act and take full charge of the supply line, the entire chain, and the distribution of everything that's needed for the actual testing. That hasn't happened. I haven't figured out why. But generally when it comes down to these things, there's only 2 things involved. Money and power. And power equals politics, and both back and forth. So you got money, power, politics, that little triangle in there. Okay, something is causing him not to put that Defense Production Act into place. I don't know what it is, but somebody should certainly ask and find out. Don't you think? We want to get back to work at some point in time. It would be nice if we knew who was actually infected and who wasn't. Right now, less than 1% of our population has actually been tested. Less than 1%. And the president wants to play doctor and telling you that you should be ingesting and injecting disinfectant because he heard 10 minutes before that disinfectant kills the virus. He missed the part, though, where they were talking about inanimate surfaces like countertops and things like that. So this is his responsibility, and he needs to step up and do what he's supposed to be doing. But we're still waiting for that to happen. Now, there's going to be a real shock to rural America when the cases start to rise in those areas. The cities on both coasts, tons of population, tons of hospitals. If you get sick, you're really about 3 to 5 minutes away from a hospital, 10 minutes tops. The rural healthcare system in this country has already been hit really hard over the last 10 to 15 years with a declining number of hospitals that could be an hour or more away. And when their cases increase, and they're starting to, they're going to be the absolute least prepared to be able to respond and try to save lives. Some of these rural hospitals, if they exist in a county, sometimes a county doesn't even have a hospital. Some of these rural hospitals don't even have a ventilator. Yeah, they can ship them in, but they've got no experience with them. Okay, when their cases increase, and they will, all the work, all the testing by fire that's been done in the hard-hit places like New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, all their information, all their expertise is going to be needed in these rural hospitals. Hopefully, the healthcare workers in these states are not so burned out that they can't respond. Hopefully. Now, I want to get to today's question. Okay. The $731 billion question, actually. Who's watching the money? Now, when you have an estate, someone dies and maybe they have $500,000 to $1 million, you generally have somebody overseeing that money. You know, make sure it goes where it was supposed to go. If you have a larger estate, $2, maybe $3 million, you might have several different attorneys, and probably a court is going to be overseeing things too, to some degree. If you have 5 or 10 million, you got a lot of people watching to make certain that things are going the way they're supposed to be. And that's what's supposed to happen. That's reasonable practice. You would expect those things to happen. Now, so when the Congress agrees to spend $731 billion in 2 different recovery plans, you would think that there should be more than several people from both sides of the aisle that are remotely interested in making sure that the money got to where it was supposed to go. On top of the fact that it happens to be their job. That's a normal and responsible thing to do. Well, the House passed such a bill last week. Okay? And that was a really good deal. And that was great. Okay? The only problem was it was entirely along party lines. Not one Republican voted for the bill. Don't they want to know what happened to the money? Don't you think you should know what happened to the money? We haven't talked about it just yet, but at some point in time, you might not realize, but at some point in time, this is all printed money. Somebody has to pay for this. Who do you think is going to be paying for it? You, me, and our kids will have to pay for this at some point in time. This debt is piling up. There will be serious implications down the line. Okay? And you can almost guarantee that's going to be about party lines. Okay? They're giving all this money out. The big companies are getting it. What a surprise. Very few small companies are getting it. Some are, but not enough. Big companies just line up because they can. The law was written in such a way that allows them to do it. It wasn't illegal. Is it immoral? Probably. Okay. Do they need the money? No, they don't need it. They've got enough cash flow. Okay. They've got enough reserves. They've been getting tax breaks for years now. But at some point in time, somebody has to look at it. Somebody has to pay for it. And the big companies have been getting the tax breaks for the last 20, 30, 40 years. Really big tax breaks in the last 3 to 5 years. Really big tax breaks, especially with the last tax act that went through. That was an obscene tax act. Very few people on the low end got much of anything. If you were pretty much rich, making $1 million plus a year, you made out like a bandit. If you're a working class guy running his own business, grossing $100, $150, maybe $200,000 a year, netting out of that, if you're lucky, 60. you got shit. You get a damn thing. So, we need to take a peek at that, because at some point in time, the bill's going to come due on that. And interesting things are going to happen when that happens. Now, I'll be posting this video later on today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning, on YouTube. And like and share the video. Every day I post things in there, and there's always a present in there every day. Something motivational, something interesting, I found entertaining at least. I posted Joe's link in there yesterday. I mentioned Joe yesterday. He had emailed me, and it's a nice email. And he sent a link along that he thought that some people would enjoy. So I posted that, and that link, Joe's link, that's what it says, Joe's link, is right underneath the present. So go to YouTube tomorrow, and right underneath the video, there'll be a link there to a page. On that page is where all these links are. So, again, I appreciate spending time with you. I really do. I enjoy doing this for you. Okay. As the week comes up, there'll be more direct news, and I'll be happy to relay that and see how that affects you and your ability to get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and retirement. Understand, that's my only goal. My only goal with doing all this stuff is how can I help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and I appreciate being with you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.